Welcome to Dollars and Cents. Our podcast is designed to provide listeners with financial advice in a language you can understand. Created and hosted by Marc Freedman, President and CEO at Freedman Financial, he discusses timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. Count on lots of energy, candid discussion, and a few laughs. And now, here's your host of Dollars and Cents, Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial. My name is Marc Freedman, and I'm joined by
Marion Gilman.
She's my partner. And
there you go.
There you go. We work together.
24 years.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, no, I can't.
Yeah, 2000, Marion, was when you started here.
I know. You know, and believe it or not, so in 2000, if any of you out there remember, the market had peaked at the very beginning of 2000. I came here in June of 2000. Unfortunately, I started as the investment person, and the market went down for 2 years afterwards.
Yeah, it was just after the dot-com boom. Remember that?
Oh, my God.
Remember Pets.com?
Yeah, it's no longer.
And they had those commercials with the little teenage kid that was buying an island. He actually had a helicopter, and then he flew to his own island and stuff.
And the cab driver. What was the cab driver? He was like, I don't know, he was making
there were so many things.
Yeah.
And you'd walk into every shop. You'd go into a pizza shop. You'd go into a laundromat, and everybody's running CNBC.
Yeah, and there was some mutual fund that we owned too, and you might, or wasn't my pick because I had just gotten it. It was down like 90%. I can't. It was some technology.
It's one of these crazy technology companies.
But oh my goodness, it was quite brutal. Yeah.
And
I'm still here.
She's still here. Well, we promoted her from just the investment girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That was my background. I don't know.
And now 24 years, you just got back from a great vacation, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Where were you?
We were in Japan. It was really amazing. I had never been to that part of Asia before. So it was very different than my typical vacations. We very frequently will go to Europe, so we're used to other cultures. And we've traveled. We traveled in South America and in Africa a couple times, but Japan was just astounding. Yeah. And you had told me because you had been.
I have been, and so many of our clients when they look to us for advice and they think about retiring, travel is always one of those big items on their docket, things they have to do. And many people have been to many places here in the United States. Some have been overseas into Europe, but very few head the other way and go to the Far East. Now, one of the big reasons is, of course, the travel time, right?
Oh, my goodness, it was brutal. Yeah, so the flight is about 14 hours, and there's a time difference of 14 hours. So, yeah, it's kind of tough travel.
It takes some adjusting. It's not one of those things that you go for the weekend or even for a week.
No.
Even though you did.
I went for 10 days.
10 days, okay. Yeah. It still feels like a week.
Right, yeah.
Well,
you were gone too, so
I was too. So Marion, so many people think about all this stuff they get to do when they're, going on vacations to Europe.
Yes.
But going to Japan, and I know I've been there. I've been to many places in the Far East. It's a little different. Why don't you tell us some of the things that surprised you as it being your first visit?
Yeah. So it was very different because first of all, not only is the language different, but the characters are different. So the writing's different. So all of a sudden you see all these characters and you're like, I can't make heads or tails of this. I mean, couldn't even read an address and relate it to what it was, on the billboards or on the, street addresses or anything. So that was really tough.
Yeah, I mean, you go to Europe and you can at least sound out the words, even though you may not say them properly. Phonetically, you understand it.
And you know the letters. So, if you see a street sign, you can say, oh, yeah, that's cross street, but not in Japan.
And because Tokyo, I know that was one of the places you were, is one of those incredibly busy cities. Yeah. One of the easiest ways to get around is the trains.
Yes.
So you got to kind of play match game, right?
It's wild. So and you have to pick where you're going. It's just this whole wild thing. But you know what? We love to have experiences, and my son traveled with us. So my husband, myself, and my son. And this is one of our goals. This was one of our goals as we saved, for our later years. We always felt like we wanted to have travel experiences and see other places and experience it as a family. And so this was a great opportunity for us to do that in a totally foreign environment. And we had to navigate the subways on our own, and it was wild. Buying the tickets was the most crazy thing.
Why was that?
It was machines. So you had to buy a ticket from a machine. So you had to sort of know where you were going, and then you had to figure out the machine. So it was quite amusing the first time we used it, but we figured it out, and you just sort of muddle through. You watch somebody else, and you figure out what you need to do.
And we find oftentimes with many of our clients who like to travel, there are others that we meet that are intimidated by traveling because of just what you're talking about.
Right.
They're worried about they won't understand the language, they won't figure out how to manage the subway system or know how to ask where's the closest bathroom.
Right.
And I think that's unfortunate because that's part of the experience.
That's right. And you get to see how realistically how other people live, because the Japanese people all take the subway, as they do in many of the large cities in Europe as well. We also took a bullet train between Tokyo and Kyoto, which was another adventure.
What's that like?
The bullet train goes about 180 miles per hour. So something that would normally take about 4.5 hours to go between the two cities takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And it was great, but you don't feel like you're moving that fast.
No, it's a pretty smooth
Not
ride,
at all.
isn't it?
It's a very smooth ride. Everything works like clockwork in Japan. Unlike some other countries, unlike the US, you don't hear about delays. And if they say they're leaving at 12:01, they leave at 12:01. There is no question about that.
Yeah, there's no Jamaica time,
No.
there's no Aruba time,
No.
there's no, tropical island time.
Yeah.
Everything happens on time, and if you have a propensity for regularly being late, you will not do well
No.
in Japan, will you?
No, you won't.
Which is actually just the opposite of Europe.
And particularly Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything in Italy runs on time. I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm Italian, so I can say it.
Well, but it's not about running on time. Everything in Italy, or in many European countries, is very relaxed.
Yes, and the Japanese don't seem all that relaxed. They seem pretty driven, pretty. I don't know. They're just Tokyo is a very hectic city. There is one place called the Shibuya Crossing, and the Shibuya Crossing has 8 crosswalks in this 4-corner thing. It's just wild.
Yeah, you can crisscross.
You crisscross, and ironically, so you can go up in a department store, and there's a lookout, and you can stand over and watch the crossings happen. And it's remarkable how they navigate these crossings without banging into each other. I'm not really clear how they all know which way to go, but they do. And there are lots of tourists in there too, so who knows? I mean, it works.
Yeah, traveling is one of those things that we just, you and I do on a regular basis, and I know so many of our clients really look forward to traveling, but this experience with Japan, it's something that I continue to hear more and more people are trying to take that venture to the Far East. So Marion, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you experienced, what some of those cool things were, or nuanced things that you saw in Japan.
Right. So first of all, one of the things we did was we stayed in a Japanese ryokan, which is a hotel type of situation. And when you stay in a Japanese hotel, they have tatami mats. When you enter any place that has a tatami mat on the floor, then you have to remove your shoes. And you also can't wear slippers there. So no shoes, no slippers, so it's socks. And
the tatami mat, just to explain to people, it's a straw mat, right?
Yes, it's a straw mat.
I mean, there's a lot of hardwood floor and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's where you can wear your slippers.
That's right.
But the tatami mat, socks or bare feet.
Right. So when you sit and eat, the table has, actually, I think they've done this for Americans, but the table is very low to the ground, and they actually have a well, to put your legs into, and you sit there and eat. So it's kind of weird because you've got your legs down under the table that's on the floor, and you're sitting on the floor. And then when you sleep, they roll out these mats that...
they're futon mattresses.
Futon mattresses.
Right, they're about this thick.
Yes, exactly. And on the floor, and that's where you sleep. So it's really a very interesting situation. They are very service-oriented. you know, they wouldn't let you. You don't even touch your suitcases. You don't do anything. I mean, they served us breakfast and dinner, and you know, they didn't even want us to pour a glass of water for ourselves. You know, they wanted to do everything for us. So it was really a fascinating experience to do that. The Japanese food is very, very varied. They have multi-courses in every course. So there would be a little plate of different pickled vegetables, and then a little plate of fish. So you might have like 7 or 8 different little plates in each course. So it looks like a lot of food. It's not huge portions, but it's really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, you said, so tell me about what surprised you at breakfast.
Well, the fish. So they don't eat breakfast food as we know it. They actually
They don't have like a
meals.
waffle bar or a, you know, one of those things that they have when you go to your local hotel and
No.
pour your own Belgian waffles? No.
No, not at all. Although a lot of places do have a Western breakfast, as they call it.
Right.
But
So tell us about the Eastern breakfast.
yeah, the Eastern breakfast. So the Eastern breakfast is like dinner. So they have fish, they have noodles, they have soup, they have vegetables. So it's like a meal. It's not at all like a breakfast. You wouldn't, you know, it's not eggs and bacon or anything.
Well, but think about this. I mean, look, we've been traveled around, and for those of you that are thinking about traveling, when you go to Europe, most European hotels that you stay in, breakfast is generally included.
Yeah.
And when you look at the buffet that they put out for breakfast, yeah, you've got a few of the traditional foods that we're familiar with. However, they have a lot of sliced meats, right?
And cheeses.
And lots of sliced,
Yes.
and cheeses.
Yeah.
And the bread, very different from the bread here, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's so much better.
Oh, much better. The food in Japan was actually also excellent across the board.
But you were telling me about a particular delicacy that you had to eat.
Yes.
And how that all worked out.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. One of the things that we did a food tour, and on the food tour we went to a small restaurant where they served puffer fish. Puffer fish.
That's like blowfish, right?
Yes.
Blowfish.
It's a poisonous fish, and but clearly I'm still here, so
Survived.
Yes, exactly. So the chefs have to go through a whole certification process, and I believe they go through training for a couple of years before they can get certified to serve puffer fish, because the poisonous sac in the puffer fish has to be removed in a very particular manner. So they do that, and then they serve you multi-courses of this puffer fish. So they start off with serving you sashimi, raw fish, sliced very thin, of the puffer fish. They serve you the deep-fried skin of the fish. They serve you a cooked version of the fish. So it's really fascinating, and soup made out of the fish.
And no parts go to waste, do they?
No parts go to waste. As a matter of fact, there were several items on the food tour that were innards. I'm really not clear what some of them were. Some of them were recognizable, like liver. Some of them were not.
I remember when I was in Hong Kong, we had this soup with innards, but also eyeballs, and there was little eyeballs looking back at you, right?
Yeah, that's right. So one of my pieces of fish in one of the meals that we had an eyeball right on top. Yeah, it was kind of freaky.
See, you might be freaked out by some of that stuff, but
it's fun.
But the whole point is that
gotta keep an open mind.
Yeah, traveling isn't just for the scenery.
No.
It's for the experience. It's for the culture. And it's for doing it with others, because we know that when you retire, you want to travel, but it's those experiences that you've been looking forward to all of your life, and it's so wonderful when you can bring others into that experience with you too.
Exactly. And creating those experiences is really fun. So we did a lot of this on our own because, and we put together a variety of tours. And you have some tips, I think, for tour companies to try out.
So, many of you, we've heard a lot of people that say they want to go on a Viking tour, they want to go on a Tauk tour, or Kensington tours. They want to hire these tour companies. And that's all wonderful. You can have a great time. Some people just don't want to be on a bus all the time,
Right.
or travel with large groups of people. Well, when you do, whether it's the Viking tours or anything like that, or tours on your own, there are some companies that you can hire. Might cost you a little bit more money, but you get a private experience. Because one of the things that I know I've learned when I go to Europe is how many more cathedrals, how many more churches and chapels do I want to see?
My husband says if he never sees another one, he'd be all set.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful stained glass, don't get me wrong, but you got to sit there. I mean, you want to go in there and look around, but do you really want to listen to every story and listen to back in 1541, right. So-and-so did... Yeah, some of those stories are nice, but after a while it gets old. So I'm going to make a recommendation to a couple tour companies for private tours. Look at a company called Tours by Locals. Toursbylocals.com. You can find it anywhere on the web, on the internet. We use that every place we go.
Yeah.
And you get to find people who live in the particular town that you're in. And they will give you tours of anything you want. You want to just look at who's got the best bagels in town, who has the rockiest streets, whatever you want to see. You can see it with these people, and they will give you some amazing, amazing experiences. In fact, one time, Laura, myself, and Alana were doing a Mediterranean tour, and we had to stop in, I think it's called Civitavecchia, they say that's Rome, but
Rome's outside of Rome.
Just outside of Rome.
Yeah.
2 hours outside of Rome.
Oh, is it that far?
Oh yeah. Rome is not on the water. Rome is inward. So what ended up happening was we hired this company who picked us up at the cruise port, picks us up in a town car or whatever it was, and drives us into the center of Rome. Brings us up to the top of this hill, and I forget, it's a famous place. I forget the name of it. But up there was a gentleman in a golf cart. It was a 6-seater golf cart. And Laura, myself, and Alana got in this golf cart with this guy. He's had a family business for 30 years there where he drives people around Rome. So we weren't going on the major roads. We were going up all the side streets. And you're going through alleyways and all this stuff. And he'd stop at this local pasta place where his aunt makes the pasta. And then we'd go to a gelato place where his cousin makes the gelato. Yeah, there was some nepotism involved in that whole tour, but you really got the sense of what was going on. So that's Tours by Locals. You've got another one too.
Yeah, and we also used Viator, Viator. Very similar types of tours. And actually what we've found as well is sometimes it's the same people that work for both Tours by Locals.
Sure.
A list on Tours by Locals and Viator. So that's another option. They're all priced about the same. But you can do the things you want to do, so you can pick and choose the tours you want to do. And there are some long ones, some short ones, whatever it is that you're looking for.
Yeah, remember, I mean, we've been going to YouTube lately to try to find tours, things to do, tricks and tips, and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Search carefully through those. Many of them are very sponsored sites.
Yeah. Find
stuff that's local. But you don't want to look at somebody that's that's only had 3 views of their video either.
Right.
The third place we tell you to go to is TripAdvisor.com. They've got a great collection of places, whether it's things to do, places to eat, hotels to stay at. It's relatively unbiased because it's individuals that are posting reviews of those places.
Yeah, it's great.
So, that's what we call financial advice in a language you can understand. You'll notice we didn't talk about investments today. We talked about how you use your money, how you spend your money, how you enjoy your future.
Create some goals, and it allows you to have a goal to reach and a reason to save along the way.
Yeah, and implement those strategies. A
Absolutely.
lot of people say, we save.
Now it's time to spend.
Time to spend it. And if now is the time for you to get serious about your financial planning and investment management advice, I hope you'll give us a call. Our phone number here is 978-531-8108. One more time, it's 531-8108. If you're new to us and you'd like to get our free weekly newsletter that comes out every Friday at 10:30, you can go to our website at freedmanfinancial.com. That's Freedman.
2 E's in a D.
Financial.com. Go to the bottom of any page, put in your name, your email address, and you'll start getting it every Friday at 10:30. Until then, we'll be back again next week with more financial advice in a language you can understand. You've been watching and listening to Dollars and Cents. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day. Bye.
During today's Dollars and Cents episode with Freedman Financial, your hosts may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Although the money market fund seeks to preserve the value of your investment at $1 per share, it is possible to lose money by investing in the fund. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.